How you doing, guys? Ryan Adler from Adeventurers. Today we got a cool thing going on. We are demoing the Crambo 6000, Komptech Crambo 6000. So we are renting this off Maverick Equipment in Ohio, and we have this machine for the next week. And the goal of this demo is to see how the machine works, but also clean up our yard. A couple cool things about this machine. It is a low-speed shredder, so you're able to take really big chunks of wood and dice it up into small sections. Another thing is fuel consumption's about an average of 18 gallons of fuel an hour, rather than our high-speed grinder, which is 60 gallons per hour. So we'll do our primary grind. Our primary grind today will get the wood in manageable sizes, and then later we will do our final grind with our horizontal grinder over there, the Warburg 6600, and that's when we'll make our final grind mulch in order to dye it. So let's talk to the guys here and have a look. So guys, it's me and mi esposa Alejandra. We have her today. She's gonna be leading a lot of the Adeventurers video. She is from, where are you from, Alejandra?
Mexico.
Mexico.
South Park.
And then what's your attire today? Looks like you got some steel-toed boots, but they look a little fancy, so
We're gonna change them.
we'll change it here in our coming videos. But she's gonna help get some imagery, some filming. It's a little different from her background,
A little bit.
but she's gonna become the subject matter expert of all things Adler and Sons. So we're gonna get some video of the pile that we're gonna be processing today. Let's go take a look.
Let's go.
So this is all the wood that we're gonna be doing over the next week. So there's our pile. Go get a little more footage up top. And while we're up here, there's our new Ethan made disc screener for firewood. So this is a pretty cool machine, 20 foot long. We'll do a video up and coming, and I think you guys will like that. And we'll do another video on our Rapido Loco Premium 60. This is fun. Getting everything set up in the position, and we're gonna have some fun. It's really sweet with this slow speed shredder, because it'll take logs, massive logs like this, and instead of shearing everything one by one with the excavator and shear, you're able to send some really large product through it. Similar to the Inventor that we demoed last year. So let's go see the difference. Alrighty, let's go have a look. We got the Crambo 6000 set up. We got Dave Machinga from Maverick Environmental, Bob Stewart, Tyler Young, Big Daddy Swope. Look at this machine. It's gonna eat all this wood. It's gonna eat. Hey Dave, maybe we'll get a chance, we'll talk to Dave. He's the subject matter expert on this machine. How you doing, Dave?
Doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm excited to get it running for you guys and take care of your big stumps of logs, but yeah, I think it will do pretty well. It'll be a lot easier to run. It'll save some wear and tear on your guys' grinder and all that, and hopefully do well for you. Right?
So Dave, can you share a couple key characteristics about that machine that makes it real sweet and better to use a machine like this rather than a horizontal grinder, or?
Yeah. So the main thing is going to come down to it being a slow speed shredder rather than a high speed grinder. So it's got a much smaller engine in it, which saves you a lot of cost on diesel fuel. You're sitting about 18 gallons an hour with this machine rather than, you know, 30 to 50 with a high speed grinder. The biggest difference is going to be up on top in the hopper. So it's got two big shafts with teeth that are going to pull that chunk wood down and shred it down to, you know, about baseball sized chunks and spit it out. So that way you got a good primary grind material, and then it's ready to go right into your grinder, but you're saving the wear and tear. These big chunks beat against the high-speed grinder really hard, and it will break down your wear parts faster, and it will be more expensive. This thing will last a lot longer, and it's built to take on the aggressive chunk wood. So I think we'll have some good success with that here.
So Dave, our primary grind screens and our horizontal grinder are 6-inch screens. Is there any like screen functionality for this machine?
Right, so we'll open up and we could show you guys, you know, the ins and outs of this. I would like to show you the shafts and the screen basket, but yeah, so we have 6-inch screens in this machine right now. It goes all the way up to about 1 foot square. The biggest difference with the screens though is, you know, the wood product's not getting forced through with a lot of, you know, it's not getting forced through the machine, so it's not using the screens to cut the wood apart like your grinder would. So it's relying on gravity to just, the chunks will just fall through naturally as it gets sized down enough to fall. So the screens will last a lot longer than your high-speed grinders will as well, because it's not nearly as abrasive. But yeah.
So we got what, the 6-inch screens
we have a set
we're gonna start with, and then if the productivity doesn't seem like it's gonna go quick enough, we can put larger screens in it. Right,
so we got the 6-inch in it right now, and I think that the throughput will be impressive, but if you guys want to, you know, get a little bit more through it, we got a set of 8-inch hex over in the truck, and we'll swap that out. That'll give you about a football sized chunk, you know. Right here with the 6-inch will be about a softball sized chunk pretty consistently.
Okay,
so
sweet.
A lot of people like the 6-inch for their regrind purposes. It's a little bit of a more consistent you know, product as far as the flow stream when they put it into their grinder. But yeah, either one I think will be, you know, will accomplish what we're setting out to get here.
Awesome. Excited to watch this thing eat some wood. Any comments, Bob Stewart?
Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom.
You're gonna also see a lot less costs and maintenance on your high-speed grinder, because the slow speed is able to take the contamination that really does a lot of damage to the high speed. So when you run stuff through a slow speed, the shafts will sense the steel or hard rock that it can't shred and back up, instead of the high speed where it hits it and it does damage to the mill and ends up costing you a lot of money. So you'll save a lot of money in just contaminants. We have a lot of people that run everything through the slow speed first, just for that reason, just to save on the big maintenance bills on the high speeds when you're hitting the contamination.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And then looks like there's a magnet up there.
There is, yeah. You could actually get 2 magnets on them, but most of the time, for most of our customers, just a head pulley magnet is sufficient. But if you're in an application where you have a lot of contamination, then you've got a chute here that just basically unfolds, and then you can mount a magnet. It's an option, because you can buy after the fact. Mount a cross-belt magnet here to pull even more out.
Okay.
So let's say that you were doing a project where you were just doing like railroad ties or crane mats.
Yeah.
You could pull all that steel out this way, where you might miss some of it on a head pull.
Oh, that's awesome. So you can put a crossway conveyor right here.
Magnet. Yeah, it's an option.
Awesome.
Yeah,
that goes on top?
It
or
actually, yeah, it mounts up. Those are the stops for it right there.
Okay.
And then this folds down. That's why this is configured like this.
Okay.
So this will fold down to be your chute. And then there would be a separate cylinder that brings that down.
Awesome. So this is the Crambo 6000. They also make
3400 and a
Third.
5000.
Okay.
So
this.
just, and the only difference is they're the same size rotor shaft. It's the engine horsepower, which of course relates to productivity.
Okay.
So the more horsepower you have, the more that those shafts can push through the material, and the more productivity you get.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look at the whole process. We got the stacker set up so we can just not worry about moving the Crambo as much, and we'll see how much we can get through. Let's see what the 6-inch screens will do, and maybe we can put the 8-inch screens here later and get an eye on that too. So Dave and I were up here on the Crambo 6000. Dave, can you give us a little idea what we're looking at here?
Sure. So the way that you feed this is different than your horizontal. So you're just going right into the top like a blender, right? So these obviously has 2 shafts on it. You're gonna drop your material into it, and it's gonna suck the material straight down in between them. They're both turning in towards each other, right? So it's gonna suck the wood down. It's gonna split it over that middle section. We call that the gator back. And it's gonna circulate until it's the right size to fall down through the screens.
Okay.
So that's the way that this works right now. If you look, every other tooth is a blank. We cut it off. That makes it more powerful and aggressive to take down big chunk wood. If you're running just light waste, green waste, pallet wood or something like that, we leave them all in. But 90% of the application for these machines is for big chunk wood, at least in our territory.
So you actually cut the tooth off.
They make blanks.
Okay.
And you can cut them off if you want. We use old teeth.
Okay.
And just pop them in there because it's, you know, makes more sense.
Yep. And then I see the screens down there, the 6-inch screen. So it's got 6-inch windows, 2-inch windows. So you get some more continuous product. Is that?
Right. So yeah.
How many screens are there?
There are 2 screens. So
Okay.
there's 1 screen under each shaft right there. So whenever we get to a stopping point here, we'll run for a little bit, get set up. We'll pull that screen basket out and show you everything that has to offer with that. But yeah, as far as feeding goes, you know, long sticks, you lay it in there. It's like a pencil sharpener, you know.
Like a pencil sharpener.
Just a giant pencil sharpener.
Heck yeah. So we're gonna be feeding this today with a Rotobeck Cabalco. We just actually got that machine on Friday. And then we'll have a couple machines shearing behind it, and maybe a front end loader, try to get the most productivity out of it. So that's our setup. Let's go eat some wood. Explain any specs here or what we're looking at. It's a 6000 here.
Yeah, so we got a Cat C18. As far as power in the machine goes, a lot of the stuff down there, you know, you get your hydraulic fluid tank. That's not necessarily exciting, but in here we got the 2 hydraulic pumps that are going to run the shafts. So back here, these are the back of the planetary gearboxes. So that's what's going to transfer your hydraulic flow to the torque necessary to create the shred that you're looking for. A lot of the shredders will be a direct drive from the engine. This took a little bit of a different route. And what that does for this machine, it allows it to reverse just as fast as it can shred forward, right? So if you come up and you get a little chunk of wood stuck in an awkward position, it allows you more adjustability, is, you know, getting it out of there without having to climb up there or pull it. So all the adjustability and a lot of the controls that you need while you're shredding or doing your grind, it's all in the remote. So the operator can be sitting in his machine and he can have full control over everything that's going on. So he's got, you know, emergency switches on here if he needs it to stop real quick. But yeah, that way he can, you know, like it is now in the winter time, he could be warm in his cab and still be able to keep everything and everybody safe, you know, from a distance, and do the work.
No jacket or hat necessary.
Right.
Warmth in the cab. So right now we have the Crambo feeding into the 80-foot MGL stacker. Enables us to get our piles high and don't have to move your Crambo as often. Let's take a look at this product. So like Dave was explaining, you have some bigger product that's going through 6-inch screens, but everything's pretty consistent. You don't have 12-inch chunks. So that's kind of nice. Let's go see how it's feeding the material. You can see in this product how fine some of it is. Hey Dave, so I was looking at that product. It's nice and fine. There are some big chunks, maybe around 8 inches, but for the most part it's very fine. A lot finer than what the demo we did with the Adeventurers Dobstadt, which was another great machine we demoed last year to clean up the yard. What are the main differences between this machine and the Adeventurers?
So the biggest difference is going to be this machine has dual shafts, right? So it's cutting against the screen basket that's underneath it. The Adeventurers is a single shaft, so it's cutting against what we call a comb wall. There's no screens in that machine. So this machine will shred and keep working at that material until it's small enough to fall through the screen basket. The other one is going to push it through a comb wall and it's going to fall through.
Okay.
So that's going to be a little bit bigger. You can adjust that hydraulically, you know, the sizing on the single shaft, but the screens will just make sure that it just, you know, it will not fall through the screens unless it's the right size.
So what you're saying is the Adeventurers, there were large chunks because it was processing the wood through a single shaft, but the chunks weren't sized. Once it was enough to go through
Make the cut.
the opening,
Yeah.
it shipped out. So we had massive pieces. This is going to make for a nicer final grind because the wood is all sized accordingly.
Right. You can accomplish what we're doing with a single shaft shredder. It's just a little bit more involved. You got to think about it because you can switch out your teeth in that machine. You can adjust how far the comb wall is to get a tighter product. There's ways to accomplish it. The way that this goes, this is just what it's designed to do, right? It's designed to make a screen product.
So if the screens are larger, the output's gonna be
A little more
quicker.
Yeah, it's gonna throw a little bit more out, a little quicker. So that's something that we can explore. Like you said, if there are some chunks in there that are a little too big for our liking, there's different ways. You know, we can feed it a little bit different. A lot of the time we'll feed a large chunk and then a bundle of green waste or light brush, and that will balance it out and keep that hopper more full, which will allow that material to break down just a touch more. So there's definitely different ways we can go about it here.
Okay, let's go. I'm gonna go take some footage from up top. You smell good, by the way. You smell very pleasing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you do smell good. Hey, you gotta have fun. You know, keep it entertaining. I gotta get you some warm beer, hon. That's sweet. Look at his heated. Right now we have the 6-inch screens, and it makes a really nice primary grind or a primary shred. However, one of the goals of this activity, besides trying to understand this machine, is to clean up our yard, and we're gonna have better productivity with some bigger screens in there. So we're going to switch to the 8-inch screens, and we'll see what the shred looks like. So now what we're looking at, we got the 6-inch material and got the 8-inch material. You can definitely tell the difference. Right here close to me, there's a nice fine product. The beauty is twofold, I'd say. You got better fuel consumption. You don't have to worry about killing your high-speed grinder. This is made for the big stuff, the big wood. Looking good, Zach.
Trying.
What do you think so far?
Doing pretty good.
Dave mentioned filling the hopper with a little bit of combination between the big stuff and the brush to make it kind of up our production.
Yeah, while it's showing on the big stuff, it's also pushing the smaller stuff through real quick. That just needs about full melt material and
keeps it full.
Yep.
So you're controlling what with that remote, Dave?
Right now, not much. I just moved the door a little bit, so the side door right here, you can move it up and down, keep that log in there so it doesn't fall off.
Okay.
So it can pull back towards the middle where it needs to be there.
But as far as running, it's pretty autonomous.
Yeah, I could leave this sitting on the ground, you know, we don't have to be touching it at all.
And
Eventually we'll run it just like this and it'll be fine.
And if it senses a high pressure load, it'll reverse for how long, and then it will
reverse like it just did for 2 seconds. So there's a little light on the side right now, it's green. If it turns yellow, it's going to reverse the shafts. So
okay.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Got it. And it knows how long to reverse for.
Yeah, preset.
Awesome. Look at how this machine opens up. Boy, is that cool. So you got the 2 screens that sit right there. A little easier than a horizontal grinder, huh?
Yeah.
Boy, that's pretty simple layout. You got the 2 shafts, the belly belt, and the final belt. So it makes sense while the everything's opened up to get everything cleaned, right? Right, Dave?
This is where the only thing that you got to make sure is we're doing exactly here. So a lot of stumps and logs and wood waste, make sure that this lip here can remove all the stuff from there, because that's what holds the center of the screens in. Hooks in here like this, keeps it nice and flush. Pressure against the outside and the screen basket pins this. So that's all you got to do. But these are your bio teeth here. This one makes the second cut. Nice and easy to pull in and out of there. As far as replacing goes, if you ever bend one over, this whole little bracket just sits in there too. So you can move it around pretty easy.
How's the durability on those the 2 shafts?
The 2 shafts?
Pretty strong?
Yeah, no, so the shafts are pretty good. The only thing you want to make sure is that, you know, you're hard facing them every once in a while, but that's not something that you want to, you're not going to fuss with that very often.
Okay.
But
that's kind of a one-time change for the machine life, or?
Generally, yeah, you should not be going through the shafts a whole lot. You know, some people will have some problems with the shafts, but it has a lot to do with how you're loading, you know.
Got it.
It has a lot to do with how you're going about it. So if you're being, you know, nice to your machine just like anything else and you're doing it the right way, you'll have a good time.
Right. If you're not feeding it metal,
yeah,
it's going to be,
right,
it's going to work.
Yeah.
All right, Dave, so what do we do here? We change the screen?
Right, so we wanted to make the material a little bit more coarse and get some better throughput on the machine. So we took the 6-inch square grates out and we replaced it with 8-inch hex. So the 8-inch hex will give you a little bit more open screening area and it'll help us out a lot. So we'll see here in a minute.
So you can tell that that pile with the 6-inch screen made a really nice shred. It just took a little longer, so you can already see it's going through that more quickly. I think what he's grinding now is some wood waste material that was just brought in. You can see it's a lot more leafy.
There we go.
Here comes a big chunk. We'll see how it eats through this. Yeah, production rate is definitely, you can see the size of that pile already. So Dave and I were just talking about the processing speed of the Crambo, the size of the screens, and the speed in which it's gonna start eating the machines. And right now, Dave, what were you saying about the speed of what we are
So right now, yeah, if you're watching, everything we're throwing into the shredder at the moment is big logs and chunks. So it's having to work a little bit harder and the throughput's a little more patchy, right? So it's a little more off and on. If we start throwing in one big log and a bunch of standing on the brush and the smaller material, it will consistently eat the brush while you're working on the big chunks, and it'll give you a higher throughput and more consistent material.
So you can see now how it's really getting into more of the pile, where we have more of the big wood mixed with the brush, and that output is probably double at least. You can see the pile.